Well, I mean, the reality is, as we know it thus far, I think we're just going to keep going down the rabbit hole and realizing that there is so much going on. But the fungi is like how would you say it? It's like the circularity system and the communication system of the forest. So every tree is dynamically connected to every other tree, both by their roots. They will root onto each other, but the fungi also, the mycorrhizal actually links them. Now the mycorrhizal, or the fungi itself, is what spits out acid onto rock and then turns it into minerals. So the fungi basically gathers up the minerals and helps to create the soil. Now the trees are creating the starch. So what you've got are starch-loving fungi that are creating minerals, and starch-creating trees that need minerals. And so they basically start swapping. So there's a swapping between. There's like a fundamental dynamic relationship between the fungi and the trees that enables the trees to feed the fungi and the fungi to feed the trees. But what you've also got, and this is why I call it the global brain, you've got the reality that the trees in a forest take care of each other, they nurture each other, they feed each other, they send signals to each other, and they use the mycorrhizal in order to be able to do that. So if you've got conifers and deciduous in a forest, in the wintertime, the conifers are generating carbon. They will feed the deciduous neighbors who aren't, because they've dropped their leaves. When the deciduous start to grow their leaves, if they start to block out the conifers, then they will basically start to feed back the other way. Similarly, if you've got bugs attacking, pathogens attacking, beetles attacking at one end of the forest, they will send out chemical signals, which will also run, that will warn everybody else, change your chemistry, see if you can basically block the bugs. Why are they doing that? They're doing that because a forest is as healthy as its entire community. If one of the trees starts to go down, then they're all threatened, not just in terms of pathogen, but also in terms of when a tree dies and it comes down or it's cut down and there's a gap in the canopy, then the wind can get in and start uprooting. So they understand at the most physiological level that for all of them to survive, all of them need to take care of everyone. They don't have this superiority mentality that we do, where it's okay to drive through LA and see God knows how many outrageously wealthy mansions and then more homeless people than I've ever seen. Like, the forest can't do that because one is no better than the other. They take care of each other to ensure that everybody is healthy. And to me, that's one of the fundamental reasons why we need to turn to nature as a teacher rather than just be their dominators and torturers. The more we can learn from the natural world, the more I think nature will teach us how to be the highest expression of humanity that we could actually be. Because there's a version of humanity that would only take care of future generations. And we know that because most of the indigenous people on our planet live like that. They live in order to perpetuate at least 7 generations, but certainly the natural world and everybody that comes after them. Our generation is basically normalized stealing from the future, stealing from our kids. And even though the kids are now taking to the streets saying, what the hell? We're still going, no, let's perpetuate the same economy that requires the death of nature in order to thrive. No, we're not. It's like what it must be like to be a child now, an awake child, and we wonder why there's so much drug addiction and addiction to devices and all the rest of it. Like, who wants to actually be wide awake to the level of enormous disregard that's going on now, and the future that's coming, that is a reflection of the consciousness that we've been prepared to contribute to. And this is why, right at the beginning of this interview, when you were saying, how might Claire Dubois be part of Backgap when it's about spirituality?
Well, that was before I got to know you. Yeah.
Oh, I know. But unless the spiritual beings, the so-called spiritual beings of our planet, or those that are meditating for hours a day, or those that are on profound spiritual journeys, unless they, all of us, can open that, like flush out the wing of the bird that we are, that embraces all of life, our one individual journey, yes, it might be fabulous for our soul. And yes, we may incarnate onto a healthier planet next time around, or whatever the hell it is that we believe in. But we've incarnated onto this planet now. This is where we are at this point in time, which has to be one of the most nail-biting moments in human history, because this isn't just war happening to us or Nazism happening to us or whatever happening to us. This is us destroying life as we know it and preventing our planet from being able to maintain her circulatory system in order to provide the weather that we need in order to survive, let alone thrive. We're doing this to ourselves. There has to be a shift in consciousness, a massive one. And therefore, the meditators of our world, the dancers of our world, those that know how to move their consciousness in their physiology in a way to alter their state, we need every single one of you waking up to the fact that there is no separation between you and the natural world. And that whilst she is being hacked apart, unless we're willing to put our consciousness into her body and allow her to communicate through us and allow her to lead us in some way that actually has our actions start to make sense on behalf of life, it's not, to me, wholly a spiritual journey. It's a disconnected one, because it's not actually contributing to the continuation of life in our world.